all, welcome to today's live. I'm Priyanka, co-founder HEN. HEN is your go-to community for women entrepreneurs who inspire, inform, and support each other to scale up and grow their businesses and to lead balanced lives. Today we are going to be talking about 2024 hiring hacks, and who better than our dear Mitch Duddani to walk us through this. All right. Hi, Mitch. Thank you for joining in.
Hi Priyanka, how are you?
Very well, thank you. So, guys, join me in welcoming Mitch. Mitch is somebody who comes with more than 2 decades of experience in this space, and her experience is not just limited to HR and hiring. She's also into social media coaching. She trains people. She is into recruitment as well as project management. And the cherry on top is she runs a very successful community for HR resources. So if you are looking to train and upskill yourself, that is also something that Mitch does. So warm welcome, Mitch. Thank you for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you, Priyanka. Glad to be here.
Okay, so I have a lot of questions on my mind, so let me just start firing them. Okay, so some challenges that are coming our way every single day, and we want you to address it. When we are hiring, experience versus skill, that is something you are always debating when you're looking at resumes, etc. Can you share an instance where you had to choose between a candidate with extensive experience and another with exceptional skills but limited experience? So how did you make that choice, or what are your tips in weighing these options?
So I think that's an industry skill gap that we everybody talk about it, right? I mean, if
Mhm.
I look at recent one of the surveys that I was reading, which says that IT industry says there is a skill gap of about almost 76%, which is
Hmm.
huge.
Yeah.
So even if you look at small businesses, manufacturing, I mean, there's huge on that, right? So
Yeah.
I think recruiters always go through this thing of whom to hire, whether I need that many years of experience versus I'm looking for a skill. But what I've started to see now, Priyanka, is a lot more people are now moving towards a skill-based hiring. Focus on what they bring on a table rather than just the years of experience. That becomes mandatory. A lot of
Okay.
my clients that I interacted with largely who are individual run firms, solopreneurs, small
Mhm.
business, etc., startups, they are more focused on skill-based hiring.
Okay.
I want this particular skill, 2 years, 4 years, doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Uh, I had a very similar experience when I was looking to hire someone in my team last year when I was
Hmm.
working with one of my client in the project. And,
Hmm.
typically it was like we need 3 4 years of experience, should have done this etc. onto that. And then I came across this bright candidate who just had about 6 months of experience,
Hmm.
uh, and lost her job because she's joined a startup, etc. And then last year there was a lot of churn around happening around that. And I think the attitude of her and the hunger to learn made a lot of difference. And I took a
Okay.
bet. I did have 3 4 discussions with her, but somewhere it was also saying that the sixth sense kept telling me that yeah, she's a good candidate. And I took a
Hmm.
bet, and I'm really happy with her. She's still working there. I've been
Okay.
interacting with my clients on that. She's doing so well for herself, and it was only on two reasons that I took a bet on her. Was one was her attitude, and second, her hunger to learn and do something different.
Okay. So that is a very, very valuable insight, that whether it's skill or experience, what tops everything is attitude and a desire to learn, right? Wonderful. But when we put it in the context of small business owners, right? Hiring in itself is, it's something you are always trying to budget for, etc., right? So, how do you evaluate, like, whether you should hire a jack of all trades who will be able to don multiple hats along with you, or you should hire a master of one? Because experience versus skill is fine, but now when we look at it at another level, if as a small business owner I do not have the potential to capacity right now to say hire multiple people, then I do get tempted to hire one person who will be able to do multiple things for me, right? So how do you evaluate the benefits of hiring a generalist versus a specialist for a particular role, And can you give us an example of when you have opted for one over the other, like, where you have decided that, okay, this is the situation, and I have decided that I will go over generalist over a specialist.
Yeah. So in this, I would say, Priyanka, is, one is as an organization,
Hmm.
I need to understand where am I at this point of juncture. One is
Yeah.
obviously the time, people, budget, all that is there, right? But at the same time, for me, to very important to understand. Like I was just talking to someone last week, and they said we are a manufacturing firm, about 100 people, odd, etc. But they're very clear at this point of time. They do not want to invest and have a full-time HR person. They definitely
Oh.
need support on that.
Hmm.
But at this point of time, they're very clear on that. So sometimes it's very important for us to have that clarity. For
Okay.
example, I've seen, a lot of roles, a lot of people, smaller firms where you have one person managing your entire admin, HR, finance,
Yeah.
a bit of sales, a bit of managing,
Hmm.
secretarial work, all travel, everything related, right? So that's like one person managing everything around it, right? Because it's very small a firm.
Yeah.
Also have this, to look at it, whether you have that kind of a work to give it to that person. About 8 hours of work do you have or not in that particular domain, right? And
Yeah.
again, looking at it from the previous thing of attitude, also, because if you give that much of opportunity for
Yeah.
people, they
Hmm.
can have multiple hats and they don't get bored of doing, saying that, oh, I have only this much work, etc.,
Hmm.
per se, onto it, right? So situations like this will definitely help us look at, in terms of, we need to have something who can help with multiple things. But at the
Hmm.
same time, if I have something where I'm looking at something in a finance which is tax related, audit related, or within digital marketing, if I'm looking at something specific to design or a SEO related, then I
Yeah.
can't have a journalist who can do this for me, right? So
Yeah.
it depends on the role.
Role.
Also, where are we? What juncture are we in our
Hmm.
journey, where we
Hmm.
have to fill in the employees?
Okay. So then my next question is that which roles typically do well for like full-time employees? Which roles would you recommend that small business owners should look at hiring either part-timers or gig workers? Because I think that is also a very interesting conversation to have right now because sometimes you are debating, right? So there are full-time workers, gig workers, part-time workers. Then of course there's this whole debate about virtual office and on-site office. So, your perspective on which roles for which kind of employees, and are there any thumb rules that you see in the industry shaping up?
So I think everybody in the industry is talking about these certain things on that, especially coming back to work, coming
Yeah.
back to office. A lot of people trying to do that, from hybrid of 2 days to 3 days and remote and all of that on that. Again, referring to one of the reports that I read, or article that I read on, I think,
Mm.
ET, where it says that about 80% of the companies said that they were able to look at their roles or fulfill their roles because they looked at options where it was either a hybrid or a virtual role available, because you kind of open up your horizon. You're not no longer limited. For example, I am based here in Bangalore. I'm no longer
Mm.
limited to say that I need someone who's based in Bangalore. And
Okay.
currently also, a lot of clients that I'm talking to, they say that these are the places, choices are there, whether it's different cities, metro cities, where they have offices, or where it's easier for them if they have to travel, etc., onto it. But otherwise also, I've seen a lot of times coming in terms of, they're saying that we're okay if the candidate is based anywhere. For
Okay.
us, work has to get done, right? The
Yeah.
skill I'm looking
The
at, the
skill.
person that I'm looking to hire is very important on that. So we are okay with, and all this has started happening only after COVID. We
Hmm.
never imagined anything of these kind of conversation before COVID, saying that you
Hmm.
can work from anywhere and you can do, etc.,
Yeah.
things on that, work hybrid, online, everything came in only after that on that. So that's there. But it's definite. So it has pros and cons of it. From a
Hmm.
organizational perspective, employee perspective, a lot of people say that we don't have any connect with them, we don't know what's happening, it's only that much of interaction that you have, etc., on that. But on the other side, we also have where they're saying that the opportunities have increased,
Okay.
because again, there's no bar in terms of
Hmm.
location, etc. Even worldwide, people are sitting across and they're helping you with your projects and things like that, right? So
Hmm.
that's there. On your first part of the question, in terms of where do I decide whether I need a full-time person or a gig worker, etc., on that. So I would say, again, looking at it in terms of the kind of role that we're looking to do, whether again it's a generalist role or a very specialized role. Do we have that person, the role that we have to give it? Will it have 8 hours to keep that person busy?
Okay.
65 days, right? Because 8 hours is your day, your actual work on
Hmm.
that. So do we have that much of work to give it to them?
Hmm.
If not, then we definitely need to look at whether it helps with having a one person managing multiple roles.
Hmm.
Otherwise, if it's very specialized skill, then we look at a gig worker or a project based per se onto it. For example, I was just recently talking to a client, a multinational company, and they wanted someone in the L&D space. Large
Hmm.
organization, they have their talent management team, everything, but they wanted an L&D coordinator to
Hmm.
make sure that all the program runs in properly. It's a very high end program, etc., for CXOs and minus two. But they were very clear that this person would not have an 8 hour role.
Okay.
It's only during the program when it's about to launch, etc., is where they would need this person's help. Otherwise, it's just about 2 hours work. So they were very clear, and they said it has to be a contract role
Okay.
because we don't
But
have a job to give it to them for eight
full
hours.
time work for
Yes.
wonderful.
So that's there. Second is when you look at gig workers or freelancers or outsourcing. So similar phase to look at it. Obviously, budget is also there, skill is also there. On that basis, do we have that much of work? How much to work do we have? Do we need 2 hours a week, 2 hours a day, or 8 hours a day? On that basis, you decide. Sometimes it could be very clear. For example, roles like you're redoing your website, you want some design, you want some branding work, you want to relook at any of your policies in HR, etc., or set up a system itself. It may be just about a 3 months project. Then
Yeah.
it's just a project role.
Hmm. So what you're saying is, first identify what work needs to be done, then allocate how much time ideally it would take, and basis that you decide whether you are required to have a full-time resource or a part-time project-based resource for it.
Yes.
So
And
the next
nowadays,
part
a lot of
about that is, yeah, sorry,
sorry,
please go ahead.
I missed the part of saying that a lot of times nowadays you have interns also available because again there's virtual work available. I remember in my previous role in the recruitment space, I had an intern from B schools. A
Mhm.
couple of them worked with me almost about 8 to 10 months. They
Okay.
were studying in the college, but college gave the opportunity for them to work with me on that. And moment whenever they would not have their classes or they sign off at 3 o'clock, so between 3 and 6 they would work with me on that. So my work
One,
would get allocated around that, but I knew that this person is available 3 to 6, so I also aligned with that. But then they worked with me for almost 10 months and we worked absolutely perfect.
wonderful. That's so great to hear. And but then the question arises that when you are working with part-timers or interns, etc., and especially with a remote setup where they are not coming, any tips on how do you build culture, especially from a small business perspective, early stage startups, etc. So, any tips on how you build the culture in your organization, and what are some of the things that you should be mindful of?
Okay. Um, Larger companies also have these, stories or complaints around it, that how do we get, and a lot of times I come across saying that, this person is not a culture fit, where
Hmm.
again, we go back and say that, what is your culture? And that gets difficult for a lot of organizations to define what it is on that, right? So I think that first needs to be clear in terms of what is it. And
Okay.
today, if you look at it, I think more than 50% of our workforce is the new age millennials who are working with us, right? The Gen Z and things like that as well on
Yeah.
that, right? So their thought process is very different. The
Hmm.
way they connect with people, the way they work with organizations is very different. So for
Yeah.
them, it's about, how do I relate to the business
Hmm.
that you're in? What is the problem that you're solving?
Hmm.
Um, and and they're very vocal about it, that if I don't align with this particular thought process, I am not
I
aligned with
will.
the organization, right?
Yeah.
Of late I'd seen, after all these war and all that happening in different countries of
Yeah.
the world, there are some youngsters that I came across, and when they were buying something and they said, this company, I'm not buying it because they
Okay.
have some investment there and a lot of things, and they're so very vocal about it. on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very difficult to work with them. But I think the
Yeah.
most important is from the day one that you start interacting with them,
Hmm.
how their experiences has been with you or
Yeah.
with anybody in your team, whoever is interacting with them,
Hmm.
gives them the perspective of who you are and how do you work in an organization. What flexibility are you giving, what opportunities are you giving, where
Hmm.
do they see growing up in the next few months to few years. They are not someone who will wait for 3 years 5 years for a promotion. They want
Okay.
everything quick, like your Swiggy
Yeah.
Instamart thing, right? Everything on the fingertip. So
Hmm.
where do I see myself in the next 6 months to 1 year? If I'm doing
Okay.
this project, where do I move it to the next? So the
Yeah.
roadmap has to be clear for them. These, not everybody is like that, but I'm saying that a lot of people are like that. So that
So
is
it's Yeah.
sorry,
So
please.
what you are saying is they are more clear about what they want and they are looking for quick growth opportunities. And as organizations, if you are working with millennials, then you need to plan for those things, right?
Yes. We used to say that when we would join a job, we have to align with our managers. But
Yeah.
I think the trend is changing. If you're getting these kids in your organization, we need to align with them in terms of what is
Yes.
it that they want and how would they work. Uh,
Wonderful. So, on that note, I will come to a very, very pertinent question that's always brewing in every entrepreneur's head. How do I manage salary increments then? Because the younger lot is coming with such high expectations, and in a lot of cases, not a justified skill set, etc. Also, but definitely, it's. The growth of the business is not as much as the salary expected, the growth in salary that is expected. So as a small business owner, this becomes very, very challenging, especially from the perspective of retaining talent, because you are investing so much time and effort in training them, building that culture, teaching them how the work needs to be done, or etc., etc. And then after some time, when it's time for salary increments, very, very important question is that how do you approach this whole gambit, from especially from the perspective of small business owners? Okay. And can you walk us through like your thought process or any best practices that you may have? And you have last 1 minute, Mitch. Okay, great.
okay.
2 minutes.
So,
Let's see.
you know, uh, salary increases, I think everywhere, everybody, I mean, everybody's working for salary, right? And they have huge expectations. The ones
Yeah.
who are passing out now or in the current business or starting
Hmm.
new, etc. I mean, they have huge expectations on that. But I think what we need to look at it as said, if you get their buy-in in terms of the kind of organization that we have, the kind of products that we work with, what's the problem that we're solving? I think these new age kids align a lot with the problem that we're solving.
Oh.
So if we get their buying in that, they align with the product, the service, etc. on that, gives that. Second, as I said, what's the opportunity that we're giving? Money is
Hmm.
obviously everybody's working for money and they have certain things on that, right? On that. But if I'm saying that, for example, if X is my budget, then this year I may hire someone with X minus 10 or something like that, so that I am keeping some buffer to use it for next year as well, to plan on that. That's one. Second is, what are the other benefits that we're giving? Being a smaller company, we may not have PF insurance and things like that, that we have. The larger companies that would have on that, right? But apart from that, what is it that we're giving? Is it the new role, the flexibility, the
Hmm.
opportunities that are there? uh,
Hmm.
I think looking at all of this would be able to look, will be able to kind of look at it in terms of what are they looking at it. There are
Oh.
perks available. There could be something which has been a commission base that could be there, which actually motivates them as well, that if I do this, and don't wait for the entire year to give them the sales
Hmm.
incentive, make it about a quarterly. There are some rewards that you could look at it. Who's the best team for a quarter, give them some gifts or lunch or whatever it is, right? Something different on that. So how do we engage with them as well will also make a difference on that.
Wonderful. Great. It was lovely and very insightful conversation, Mitch. My key takeaways are that attitude triumphs over skills, guys. So when you are hiring, look to hire the person with the right attitude, that is very, very important, because a cultural fit is what will take the engagement to a long run, right? And secondly, the thing is, we need to gear up to and warm up ourselves to handle the new age millennial workforce. So yes, these tips were very, very useful. Thank you so much, Mitch, and thank you so much for listening to us. And please leave your comments, and we'll be happy to take any questions that you have further. Thank you. Bye bye. Oh, i- there was a question that popped up. I have an e-commerce store. I work out of home. I need someone to look after the mundane work so that I can take care of the other marketing stuff. But is it professional to hire at present? Please advise.
Okay.
That's a
Uh,
question by Rashmi.
Rashmi. Okay, Rashmi, I'm not too sure what you're referring to mundane works. It could be your regular work at home to support you. Whenever you are in business, you have, to take care of it. You're doing it from home or you're starting new. I think it's very, very important for us to have a support system, whether it's your family, whether it's, if you have kids, then you have a daycare or any of that you look at it, right? So if you're here referring to a support, your home support, house support, it's very, very important that you have that so that you can focus on your business
Hmm.
very, very peacefully on that. So even if it's for 4 hours, 6 hours, I think you should go ahead and look at something like that if you're looking at from your home support. If you're referring to your work at organization,
She is saying the
there.
mundane work could be, sorry to interrupt, could be packaging, delivery, etc. Putting the packing
Yes.
order.
Yes. So there also, it's good to have, you could look at any women or any intern in that matter. I mean, I'm just not being saying that only women, but anybody who's, looking at those 3 hours, 4 hours kind of work. And if you think all your orders go out at 6 in the evening, then you typically need something at about between 3 and 5 to help you out around that. So that's also a time when someone can spend that across to you and very clear deliverables and timing saying that 2 hours, come and help me out on that. And you're helping someone with a pocket money.
Good tip, good suggestion. Okay. Some checklists to test the attitude, or some questions you think one must ask for the same.
Okay.
How to check
So
attitude?
yeah, so there was, I wouldn't say there is a checklist or an ABC things of that, but sometimes what happens is when you interact with the person couple of times and you have more like a situation based discussions with them, that if this happened in your experience, and if I, for example, if I was referring to that 6 month old experienced candidate that I hired, then go back to her college days.
Hmm.
If you've managed a fest, what happened and how did you manage? Did you
Ah.
have a team conflict within that? Someone would come back and say that I won't do this, I have done this, etc. How
Hmm.
did you manage that? If a situation comes in where so for example, I'm your boss and I'm not available, a crisis
Hmm.
comes in, what would you do? So some
Hmm.
situations like this, when you put in, is when you get to know how they're responding immediately, and that kind of helps you, whether they are teamwork, they've managed to able to work with the team, they're smart, quick, can
Hmm.
take decisions, all that will help us apply for the roles that we would have.
Wonderful. Next question we have is from Tina. Hi, Tina. Mine is a home-based e-commerce business. I want someone to take care of social media, customer-based work, so I can put my mind more into growing my home-based business, honey, spices, etc. What are
So Tina, I
the
mean, today if
first time? Sorry, she says it's the first time I'm looking to hire an intern, part-time or full-time, but don't know how and where to start. I'm a solopreneur.
Okay. So, Tina, again, with this, when you're looking at someone to manage your social media customer service, do you need someone who's self-starter and just pick it up from the day one? Then you probably need to look at someone who has some experience and comes in as a part-time for you. Uh, Vis-a-vis, if you're okay to, help someone and kind of guide and train them, even if it's half an hour a day, kind of thing. Then you could probably look at an intern, because with intern, the ones who are currently studying, they are smart, they know, they understand social media, all of that is there, so they are aware of it. But something very specific to that, and you just have to guide them, you're okay with it, then I would say just look, go ahead and hire an intern. uh, because they're on the move, they understand all the new platforms, tools, they are quick learners, etc. On that, yeah, so this is what I would say, Tina.
Tip. I hope, Tina, that was useful for you. Any other questions if we may have? All right. Looks like we are done. Thank you so much. Okay. New Age team doesn't seem to be comfortable taking or reporting too much. Any experience? Any
Yeah.
experience in this regard?
uh, I wouldn't generalize this statement that they're not comfortable taking or reporting on that. But yes, I would say a larger audience would probably feel that, they do not want to take orders on that. So somewhere we need to build that trust from the day one, showing that we are quite an open organization, transparent, trust is built on them. So if a task is given to them, let them, they'll fail once, they'll fail twice, and the third time they will realize that it's not happening and I need someone's help, etc. on that. But we need to give that space and time also to them, depending on, so Ruchi, here I will say, depending on the project that you're working on it, there are times when you just build the trust with the person that you're working in the first week itself, you get so comfortable on that, and sometimes it takes about 1 to 3 months as well to kind of understand, because there are different generation, different people coming in, etc. on that. But after 3 months is where probably we need to take that stick and say that, hello, this is what is expected from you and it's not happening, let's talk about it. And I've also seen a lot of times they don't want to take the feedback which is very open, like manager would just, in our cases when we work with larger firms, etc., within the team, manager would just scream and give an answer or give a response or whatever, it is not there. But this generation is when not at that particular time when the discussion is happening, but maybe a little later you go back and tell them that this is how, if we had looked at it, giving a different perspective, or probably
Hmm.
just take them out for a stroll, catch up for a coffee and then discuss. I think that's a better way to engage with them and give the feedback.
Okay, fair enough. I hope that helps, Ruchi. And that actually reminds me of a follow-up question I had in mind, and I forgot to ask you, Mitch. So I recently saw a video. I think it was of Ashneer Grover, where he said that in today's economy, especially for startups, you cannot afford to have employees learn and make mistakes that much. So you hire and fire fast. What are your thoughts on that, Mitch? Do you
So
think hire and fire fast is a good way to go or no?
definitely no, because see, even if you start doing anything, you know uh, even if you, for example, I just go back to our school college days, we start working there or we
Hmm.
start our own job, etc. We take some time to kind of get adjusted to it, to learn how the culture is, how we perform, what are my strengths and weakness, what is it that organization needs, and how do I prioritize, all of that is there, right? So you need some time to balance it out, on that. So I would definitely not connect with the thing of hire and fire. But
So
when you're
what time
hiring,
period is good? What time period is good to assess?
max is 3 months, not beyond that. Max is 3 months. You need to evaluate and take a call within the first 3 months
Okay,
of that.
wonderful. So it's 7 o'clock. So I'll just take this last question. Tina says, "Yeah, that was great input. On an average, thank you, Tina. On an average, how much will the salary for part time and full time be? I am based in Bangalore too."
Okay. So, if I'm not mistaken, I think Tina was referring to, the social media and the customer
Yeah,
support on that.
yeah.
So, if you look for an intern, Tina, anything around 8 to 10K, you should be able to get a good intern. There are sometimes you get it for 5K also, but that's like peanuts for interns. So, I would say about 8 to 10K is a good number, figure that you could look at for an intern. And if you're looking at a part time, again, as I said, depending on those 2 hours, 4 hours, whatever that is, someone to help you out on that could be about 12, 15 to max about 20K.
Okay, wonderful. Sometimes a person is skilled, but attitude is poor. So, do you think we should let go? Also, where can we source interns or and person with some experience part time? All right. Mitch, the hiring club is here.
For me, it's attitude, hands down on attitude. I always say that there are times when this you can teach skills to someone, but attitude is something that you cannot teach on that, right? So if you have to weigh between the two, I would definitely say attitude for me. Second is in terms of when you said, where should I hire source interns? There are a lot of platforms available. You have, I think Naukri has this, Internshala has this, etc. Onto that, so in for interns, even for part time nowadays, so there are a lot of platforms available where you can look at gig workers or freelancers available. They post their profiles, etc. On LinkedIn also now you have an option where if you're hiring for an intern, you can specifically say that you're hiring for an intern, or whether it's a hybrid role or whether it's a remote role, project role, part-time role. You have all these options available. So again, in this space, you look at it whether you want to reach out to candidates or you want candidates to reach out to you. So we say inbound and outbound on that, right? So outbound is when you are telling the world that you want to hire and this is a role, etc. Inbound is when you post on these websites so that the candidates get to know about you and reach out to you on that. In today's world, simple is use Canva and create a basic poster. What are you looking at it? And it just goes viral. People share it across, etc. on that. So that's the second thing that you could look at it. Um, Also look at communities. We have HEN, which is a community. There are a lot of different communities and groups available online. I've also launched a community which is the hiring club, which basically I help people bring employers and job seekers onto that platform, etc. on that. So look out for things like that and you will be able to get the references.
Yes. So you know whom to reach out to, Tina. Reach out to Mitch, and I'm sure she'll be able to help you out. And on that note, I have exceeded my time. So, but we it was a wonderful, wonderful chat, Mitch, and I think you have helped clear a lot of doubts today. So thank you so much, and we will see you again next week. All right. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. See you.